Hello and welcome to this read aloud of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. Today we'll be reading the first part of Chapter 11, The Wonderful Emerald City of Oz. This is a really long chapter, so I'm just going to break it into two parts. Okay, let's begin. Chapter 11, The Wonderful Emerald City of Oz. Even with eyes protected by the green spectacles, Dorothy and her friends were at first dazzled by the brilliance of the wonderful city. The streets were lined with beautiful houses all built of green marble and studded everywhere with sparkling emeralds. They walked over a pavement of the same green marble, and where the blocks were joined together were rows of emeralds set closely and glittering in the brightness of the sun. The window panes were of green glass. Even the sky above the city had a green tint, and the rays of the sun were green. There were many people, men, women, and children, walking about, and these were all dressed in green clothes and had greenish skins. They looked at Dorothy and her strangely assorted company with wondering eyes, and the children all ran away and hid behind their mothers when they saw the lion, but no one spoke to them. Many shops stood in the street, and Dorothy saw that everything in them was green. Green candy and green popcorn were offered for sale, as well as green shoes, green hats, and green clothes of all sorts. At one place, a man was selling green lemonade, and when the children brought it, Dorothy could see that they paid for it with green pennies. There seemed to be no horses nor animals of any kind. The men carried things around in little green carts, which they pushed before them. Everyone seemed happy and contented and prosperous. The guardian of the gates led them through the streets until they came to a big building, exactly in the middle of the city, which was the Palace of Oz, the Great Wizard. There was a soldier before the door, dressed in a green uniform and wearing a long green beard. "Here are the strangers," said the guardian of the gates to him, "and they demand to see the great Oz." "Step inside," answered the soldier. "I will carry your message to him." So they passed through the palace gates, and they were led into a big room with a green carpet and lovely green furniture set with emeralds. The soldier made them all wipe their feet upon a green mat before entering this room. Then they were seated, and he said politely, "Please, make yourselves comfortable while I go to the door of the throne room and tell Oz that you are here." They had to wait a long time before the soldier returned. When at last he came back, Dorothy asked, "Have you seen Oz?" "Oh, no," returned the soldier. "I've never seen him, but I spoke to him as he sat behind the screen and gave him your message. He says he will grant you an audience if you so desire, but each one of you must enter his presence alone. He will admit but one each day. Therefore, as you must remain in the palace for several days, I will have shown you rooms where you may rest in comfort after your journey." "Thank you," replied the girl. "That's very kind of Oz." The soldier now blew upon a green whistle, and at once a young girl dressed in a pretty green silk gown entered the room. She had lovely green hair and green eyes. She bowed low before Dorothy as she said, "Follow me. I'll show you to your room." So Dorothy said goodbye to all her friends, except Toto. Taking the dog in her arms, she followed the green girl through 7 passageways and up 3 flights of stairs until they came to a room at the front of the palace. It was the sweetest little room in the world, with a soft, comfortable bed that had sheets of green silk and a green velvet counterpane. There was a tiny fountain in the middle of the room that shot a spray of green perfume into the air, and it fell back into a beautifully green carved marble basin. Beautiful green flowers stood in the windows, and there was a shelf with a row of little green books. When Dorothy had time to open these books, she found them full of odd green pictures that made her laugh. They were so funny. In a wardrobe were many green dresses, made of silk and velvet, and all of them fit Dorothy exactly. "Make yourself perfectly at home," said the green girl, "and if you wish for anything, ring the bell. Oz will send for you tomorrow morning." She left Dorothy alone and went back to the others. These she also had led to rooms, and each one of them found himself lodged in a very pleasant part of the palace. Of course, this politeness was wasted on the Scarecrow, for when he found himself alone in his room, he stood stupidly at one spot, just within the doorway, to wait until morning. It wouldn't rest him to lie down. He wouldn't close his eyes, so he remained all night staring at a little spider, which was weaving its web in the corner of the room, just as if it weren't one of the most wonderful rooms in the world. The Tin Woodman lay down on his bed from force of habit, for he remembered that he was made of flesh, but not being able to sleep, he passed the night moving his joints up and down to make sure they kept in good working order. The lion would have preferred a bed of dried leaves in the forest. He didn't like being shut up in a room, but he had too much sense to let that worry him, so he sprang upon the bed and rolled himself up like a cat and purred himself asleep in a minute. The next morning after breakfast, the Green Maiden came to fetch Dorothy. She dressed her in one of the prettiest gowns made of green brocaded satin. Dorothy put on a green silk apron and tied a green ribbon around Toto's neck, and they started for the throne room of the Great Oz. First they came to a great hall in which were many ladies and gentlemen, all of the court, all dressed in rich costumes. These people had nothing to do but talk to each other, but they always seemed to wait outside the throne room every morning, although they were never permitted to see Oz. As Dorothy entered, they looked at her curiously, and one of them whispered, "Are you really going to look upon the face of Oz the Terrible?" "Of course," answered the girl, "if you will see me." "Oh, he'll see you," said the soldier, who had taken her message to the wizard, "although he does not like to have people ask to see him. Indeed, at first he was angry, and said I should send you back where you came from. Then he asked me what you looked like, and when I mentioned your silver shoes, he was very much interested. At last I told him about the mark upon your forehead, and he decided he would admit you to his presence." Just then a bell rang, and the green girl said to Dorothy, "That is the signal. You must go into the throne room alone." Well, that's where we're going to take our break here. Come back tomorrow and we'll finish up this chapter of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. Till then, I hope you're all staying happy, healthy, and safe. I'll see you next time.